Hey guys, what's going on? I've not been making videos here lately, but probably should have. I'm going to start on a video. This is probably going to be a two-part. First off, I want to show, I picked this tractor up the other day. I've been looking for one for a while, but it seems like the small tractors are a lot more expensive than the big ones. But I found this one on Craigslist, about an hour away from where I was at. The guy was wanting like $1,500 for it, which was a steal. The cheapest one I found was like $3,200 of this model, and I called and asked him what he would take for it. He said $1,350, and I said, well, I'll be over this evening. Asked if he done any trading, and he said, yeah, he likes guns. So I ended up getting it for a shotgun, which I had about $200 in, a pistol, which I had about $200 in, and $550. So come out pretty well. This is a Honda. A lot of people didn't know or don't know that Honda made tractors. This is a four-wheel drive, four-wheel steering. They're 5000 series tractors. It does pretty well. It has hydraulics on the front and back, and it has front and back PTO. I had a snow blade for my four-wheeler, and I built a loader blade for it that lifts and has a manual dump on it, which turned out, and it works pretty well. I fabricated all that in there. It had a mowing deck on it, but I don't have a whole lot to mow, so it's kind of useless to mow with, as big as it is. But it does. It turns on a dime. Well, what I'm wanting to build is called a pole boom. Went down to Tractor Supply and looked, and actually they're pretty cheap if you want to buy them. I found them for around $130, but when I went down to look at them, they were really flimsy. I didn't think that they would hold up to. I think the back of this has like a 1,200 pound rating as far as the 3-point hitch lift goes, and to me that it was just light and flimsy. So I got some parts laying around. I had that piece of pipe, which is an 1/8 inch, 2-inch inside diameter. I went and had it bent. A buddy of mine bent it for me that owns a garage. I have some 2-inch, and that might be 2.5 inch, 1/8 inch angle iron, and then I have this come out of a riding lawnmower. That's the steering shaft out of a riding lawnmower. So I'm going to take you all along. First thing that I have done is just cut that to the length of what the back drawbar is. So I need to cut the drive or the shaft down to be the same size as that. So I'm going to cut some out of that, and I'm going to weld it in the middle of the angle iron. I'm also going to cut out down the length of the or the width of the pole here, that way that I can fit it down and have more places to weld it to, and then I can weld it all up, the shaft and then the main boom, welded all one solid piece. So now I got to cut that shaft down. Alright, I've done my math, and I'm pretty sure with the gap taken out for the actual boom pole, this is supposed to be about 10 and I think 3/4 inch long. So I'm going to cut these two at 10 and 3/4 each one. And then that should give enough room for both of these poles to be welded in, like so, and then in the middle, in the exact middle, I can cut out for the boom pole to go down in. Okay, so I have it welded up, and before anybody says anything about my welds, I'm not a master welder. I learned to weld from YouTube school, so never had one break, but I have it welded up, and then I have that part in the middle, and that space for that pipe to go in it. So let me grab a glove here. So what's going to happen is, when it's on the tractor, like so, this part right here is going to be cut out, so you're not going to have this part right here, and then the pipe's going to be down in it. That way I can weld all the way around the sides of the pipe and then weld down the inside of it. So now what I need to do is to take a cutoff wheel and cut out, I guess it'll be down in through here. So cut this part right there out, that way I can get the pipe down in there. Okay, there's it cut out and mounted on the back of the hitch. This will be off. Like so, and then what you'll have is the boom pole be right up in through there, and that's what I gotta do now, is weld that up in there. Looks like I cut it a little bit too wide, but I can always fill that in. So now I just gotta get the right angle of what I need the boom pole to be, and then I need to take supports out from here up to the pole. Okay, my original design did not work out, so I had to flip it. That way I could get a solid weld. I've not brushed those up on the bottom, and then up through there I had to use some bolts for some filler. That way I could alleviate the gap. But it's a little, looking at it from this way, I can't really tell if it's straight or not. It looks just a little bit off to the left, but I don't think that really will matter. Alright, I got it mocked up, hanging from the ceiling, but that's pretty much what it looks like, or what it's going to function as. That back top point on there, there's going to be some lips welded to that. That way it'll actuate through there. And then I'm going to have stabilizers that come out from each side into there. I'm going to have to figure out what I want to use as far as the thickness goes to stabilize it. But I have a stabilizer right there. And then I might put a stabilizer from here down, just for, cut it at 2 angles, just for some extra support. But that looks like it's going to have about a 7-foot lift on it. So that's pretty good, especially for free. So far I don't have any money in this project except for welding wire. I did buy this, but then again I needed to buy this because all of the 3-point hitches, you need that right there for it to function. I didn't have that. Okay, this is going to be the first lift test. It's about 2.5 feet off the ground. I tested it just a second ago, but this part right here was hinged. These right here are, I think, off of a fire truck, so they'll hold. So what I'm going to do is set the camera up to where we can see, and then see how high up it goes. Okay, as you can see, it'll go up higher, but that's about 8 feet up, which is awesome. And it's fairly stable. It's still, I'm going to put some braces up in there, but it'll go from, it goes down fast. It'll go from the bottom, which is about 2.5 feet, to 8 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and back up and get this welded on. I'm going to weld all around through there, on both sides, mainly because if that comes loose when it's hinged, if that starts to hinge, then what it'll do is it'll drop about 2 or 3 feet, and I don't want that one to have a load on it. So I'm going to back that up and weld that up real tight. Alright, when I put it on, okay, that bottom piece of angle iron to me seemed kind of flimsy, because when I cut the back out of it, the only support was on the bottom, and it actually warped just a little bit. So what I did was I went ahead and put another, so we got 2 pieces of angle iron on the bottom. And what I've done was put 2, or actually 4, number 8 bolts, or grade 8, and bolted it to it, and I went ahead and welded it on all 4 sides. It's got that side and the bottom. And also went ahead and welded the top of this, and that's also bolted on. So this is going to be it for part 1 of my boom pole. Tomorrow, if I get time, I'm going to put the stabilizers on it. I'm debating whether I want to put a winch on it or not. Okay, so I got the pole boom built. Quick shot of it off the tractor. But when I got to using it, I realized that even though my tractor has a 1,000-pound rating on the hitch, at the hitch, when you extend that out, what, 7.5 feet, 8 feet, then that cuts your lifting capacity drastically. So, what I decided to do, I've had this winch for a while. I originally bought it to put on my ATV. But what I'm going to do is make this winch where I can mount it onto the pole boom, and I'm gonna mount it in a way that it can be taken off and put back on. So far, I've used everything from scratch. I've not had to buy anything to build this project. So I'm going to try to continue on that path. This is a 3,000-pound Summit winch. It came with the front roller, but when it shows it on the picture on the internet, I guess they just put it there when they took the picture because there's no way to mount it. So the fairlead is going to have to be mounted some other way. The way that I'm thinking about doing this is mounting this on a hitch, possibly like this, and then like that, and then another piece of angle on the back, like so, and then the winch will mount pretty much like that, and then the lead will go off into the front. So we're going to try to weld this up and play with it. I have a piece of tubing right here that I'm going to mount to the bottom. That way, I know one side this will go in. That way it'll go in and out. I have a little bit of work to do on the inside to get that freed up. So we're going to get started on this. This is probably going to be a one part that I'm going to put in with the other part. So it'll probably be a pretty long video. Alright, I got the bracket welded up almost all the way. Went away from my original design to flip the left piece the other way. The unit right now is upside down. I'll flip it over. It's pretty hot. That's the way it's going to look. I originally was going to put this piece kind of like that. That way I could cut out to put the fairlead right here. But then again, angle iron gets the support because of the bends on both sides, and I didn't want to cut out the front piece right there. So what I'm going to do is just make a flat piece that goes on like that, that I can weld on just for the fairlead portion of it. But if I can find the winch will go on just like that. And just like so. And then the fair lead will be mounted just like that, but there'll be a piece of plate like that. And that way the fair lead will be able to go on there. I wish they would make it to where it would bolt on. I could probably weld it, but I don't want to get it that hot. So, there it is so far. The winch was pretty cheap. I got it off eBay for like $100 and some. I looked them up, and the Summit winches are supposed to be made by somebody else and supposedly hold up pretty well. So there it is so far. I was going to weld that right there. I might still go back and do it, but you can see the marks on it through here and through here. The welds were really penetrated, so it should hold. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that it would break. Okay, here is the mount. This is mounted to the bottom of the boom pole. If this doesn't turn out very good, I just busted the lens on the camera, so the hitch slides into that. Okay, it's hard to see, it's pretty bright out, but there's the winch and the boom pole mounted. The only thing that I didn't take into consideration is the offset. I should have set it off to where this is in line with the boom pole. What I gotta do now is go get two pulleys, one to mount right there, one to mount probably close to the end. That's probably the only thing that I'll have to actually buy for this, except for the center point of the 3-point hitch. But it's got, as far as I mean, it'll hold quite a bit. I had to put some weight on the front, but I think this will make it a whole lot easier to lift things because of the leverage on the end of this. So I tested it out. I didn't take any videos, but I tested it out of lifting things all the way down, and I just see what capacity it'll hold. So now I guess it's time to run to Tractor Supply and get some pulleys.